Anyone got an Oxford Dictionary about so we can search Vavavoom, who's in the dictionary because of Thierry Henry? You're saying Tottenham have a brighter future than Arsenal.
I am. Hello everybody and welcome to William Hill's Fan Gold Face-Off with me, Mark Goldbridge, and I've got fans from some of the biggest clubs in the world together to debate football's biggest topics. Right, up this week to my left, I have Abbi Summers representing Tottenham, and on my right, I've got Turkish representing Arsenal. Right, let's get into it. I want passion, I want fire. It's the North London derby. I want a good, clean fight, but I want good opinions here. Yep. It's a 5-rounder. Who's going to win? So, round one, we've got supporters. Supporters standing on the terrace. It's long gone, but what we do have is social media. We do have away fans. We do have best chance, noisiest crowd, plastic corporates, fan channels. We've got the lot. It's all up for grabs. I'm going to start with you, Abbi, and Spurs. Why are you the best fans?
Between us and Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal, the fan base, I mean, everyone knows they are the most annoying fan base.
I know why.
Why? I mean, I spend a lot of my time, you know, amongst Arsenal fans. Maybe you're not particularly annoying, but like, you know how like you go, oh, it's all in our hands, and you think that, you know, printing T-shirts at Christmas when you were top of the league, and just like things like that, and just moany, you know, like you were moany for so long, and now like you're doing well again. Now you all like cheer and you go to games, but it wasn't like that for such a long period of time, was it?
It wasn't, but do you remember during that period you thought you was closing the gap?
The gap did close for 8 years.
The fans were saying...
For 8 years it closed.
Did it close?
Yeah, it did close though.
Who won more trophies during that gap closing?
Yeah, but it's not always judged on trophies, Turkish, is it?
The gap is judged by trophies.
It's not all about that.
I think Mark can confess to the gap.
8 years Tottenham finishing above you, 8 years Tottenham were in the Champions League, and 8 years you had a rebuild, and now obviously the cycle started again.
8 years you won nothing.
Let's keep it on fans, not trophies. Why are Arsenal fans better than Spurs fans, Turkish?
I mean, look at us now. I mean, we had to wait a long time to get back to an elite level competition, competing at the top, Premier League, back in Champions League, and the fans have risen with it. We went through a lot of pain. We waited 10, 15
toxic,
years.
Really toxic.
Rightly so.
Arteta out T-shirts.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't part of that.
There you see. There seems to be a lot more positivity around Arsenal these days. A lot of people talking about the culture.
Because they're winning.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. But what happens if you start losing?
Name me another fan base that would wait 10 years without a Premier League title and be patient.
We're having to wait, Man United.
But patience, the key word.
United
Tottenham?
fans are not. I've gone 16 years without anything.
Yeah, but I'm saying
16 years.
I said name another big club that could go 10 years without a trophy.
Well, clearly, if you're a big club, you wouldn't be waiting that long.
Oh, we're back here now.
Yeah, it's taken time.
Yeah,
taken time.
And we're back.
Yeah, taken time. But for 8 years, you weren't even in the best competition in Europe, and Tottenham were.
And the fans are still there.
Little old Tottenham,
and
who don't win anything, live rent free in your head.
Best fans in the league this season. Best away fans in the league.
Who's basing that on?
They will judge it.
They will judge it.
I will judge it.
Yeah.
I will judge it.
I don't want a Man United fan judging this. I'm going to let them
I'll
judge
tell you
it.
what, it's quite close at the moment. I mean, during the back and forth, let's try another thing. What do you think about atmosphere at Spurs compared to Arsenal? Is it a better atmosphere? You've got a newer stadium. Sometimes that can be an atmosphere killer.
Is it football we're talking or go-karting now? Which atmosphere we're talking about?
You whatever you want.
Really rude. Yeah. Your old dusty old stadium. You need a little paint job.
It does.
You know, it's not shiny.
But that's the stadium you built your plan off for yours.
Well, it was much better, ours.
It's much better.
Much better.
Much better.
More than you could ever believe yours to be.
Very cool.
No, I'd say like I do think that the atmosphere at White Hart Lane was better, but I feel like that comes with any old stadium. And it's a bit of like a dying breed now. If you go to somewhere like Everton or a Palace, like I feel like that the closeness that you are to the pitch and just that old ground setting, like I do prefer atmosphere at smaller stadiums. But I think with Spurs, like we're still trying to. We've made it a home, but I think that because of how turbulent the last kind of like 4 or 5 years since we moved in has been, I don't feel maybe that we are as connected with it. But on a night, like when we've had Champions League nights there, or, you know, for example, when Arsenal have come and it's a big derby, you know, and everyone is behind the team, like it's amazing, and it's built to create sound, even like the shape of it.
I'll tell you what, this is really difficult, and it's going to be difficult, I think, every round, because there's such rivalry there. I'm going to give it Arsenal for the simple reason that I think that Spurs are at the start of something, and we don't know what it is yet. Whereas I think with Arsenal, the toxicity of their fan base is very, very rife. But this year, I have noticed, I've given it to them because of their home crowd. I think that the way that they've got behind the last 2 years, there's more atmosphere there. I don't think there was an atmosphere at the Emirates 18 months ago. There is now. Marginally, I'm going to give round one to Arsenal. Okay, round 2 is going to be interesting. It's not about trophies, although it will be part of it. Who is the biggest club? So this can involve finances, stadia, legacy, culture. We've got our fans facing off to discuss this. And Turkish, we're going to talk about you and Arsenal first. Who is the biggest club?
Come on, Mark. And like, Abby laughed when you mentioned it. I think that says it all.
I just think some of these are unfair.
Well,
don't give up.
You say unfair, but we're local rivals, hence why we're both here sitting opposite each other. You know, Tottenham fans for years mentioned the gap closing.
Far from Woolwich, though.
But let's talk about. Look at where we are now. You know, we're moving into a new direction. We're moving into an era of potential greatness, potential major trophy. Yeah, potential.
Asterisks.
Potential. Like you potentially were on the cusp of starting with Pochettino. But you wasn't.
That was nasty, wasn't it?
But you wasn't. It
Potentially,
hurt.
yeah, we were there.
The way Wenger ended it hurt as well. But we're here now. We've moved on from there. And I just think, look, when you judge how big a club is, the first metric is trophies.
Yeah.
We blow you out the park.
Absolutely.
The second metric is fan base worldwide. We blow you out the park there. We do. Worldwide.
Have we got stats for that?
England.
Have we got stats for that?
Do you need stats?
I do need some stats. I don't think you blow us away with that.
But
we might edge it, but I don't think...
We'll take that.
You said you blow us away with it, so I don't think that's fair.
We still win that one. Legendary players, we blow you out the park with that one. Impact in the Premier League era, we blow you out the park. We are the bigger club, our soul.
I'm going to leave in a minute. Clive didn't start in the Premier League.
100%.
Clive didn't start then.
100%, and I'm an Arsenal
fan. And we have had unbelievable players.
Most of our titles.
Lineker, Gascoigne, Hoddle, Mabbott, Dave Mackay, Pat Jennings, Jimmy Greaves. Like, don't talk to me about culture. But it's okay. I'm not going to argue with you on the trophy front, because I know that everyone will say, well, what have you won in the last 20 years? Fine.
Anyone got an Oxford Dictionary about, so we can search Vavavoom, who's in the dictionary because of Thierry Henry?
I think I'm going to end it here. I think Abby's trying her best. And
I can't win this. I can't win this one.
No, I'm full of it, and even I wouldn't be able to come up with results on this one. Unfortunately for Spurs, it has to be an Arsenal win.
You could have given us the first round, couldn't you?
2-0. I'm now thinking I should have done.
Yeah.
But there's still 3 left, and I think Spurs have got a shout in all 3. But it's 2-0 after 2 rounds. Okay, we're into round 3. It's 2-0 to Arsenal at the moment, but this is where I think Spurs can really start to make a comeback. Maybe. It's best projects over the next 5 years. So you can use finances, you can use academy, you can use your stadia and what that will bring to your club. A superstar maybe in the team that's going to come through. Crystal ball moments is what we're looking for. Just try to win the argument. And we'll start with Turkish on this one.
Another easy win. I'm surprised you thought Abby had a chance. I'm not going to say Abby because it's not fair. She's representing Tottenham. I'm surprised you think Tottenham had a chance in this.
You know what? Their stadium is multi-purpose. It's going to pour money in.
Listen, I'm a fan who...
They've got a go-kart thing underneath.
They do.
NFL.
It makes them a lot of money. But I'm a fan who saw us move into a big fancy stadium at a time and saw nothing off the back of it. So, moving into the stadium is not a platform for success. It's a platform for extra revenue. It depends what your owner does with that revenue. Look, Mark, Abby, we've got one of the youngest teams in the league. Last season, when we challenged for the title, led the majority of the season, we had the youngest team. You look at the players we have, 100 million Rice, he's mid-20s. Bukayo Saka, early 20s. Martinelli.
You spent a lot of money to get there, though.
On who?
Well, Declan Rice being one.
Rice, yeah. What about Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard?
Yeah, sure. But it does all stack up. I don't like this narrative that Arsenal don't spend money.
We spend money. We spend within our means. But going back to Saliba, one of the best young centre-backs in the world.
60 million on Kai Havertz.
60 million on Havertz, but you don't mention 30 on Saliba, 30 on Gabriel. All young players, all mid-20s.
How much do you pay for Ramsdale?
30. You might want to buy him in the summer.
Then why? No, thank you. I'm good.
You sure?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Vicario doing the job, yeah?
Yeah.
So Arteta, the young squad, the fact we are currently challenging, our future is brighter, without a shadow of a doubt.
I think their future is bright. I'm not gonna argue that. But I think from a Tottenham standpoint, everything is in place that should they also get the investment that we need to actually further our squad, then I think that our future is very bright as well. I think having someone like Ange, who has a clear way of playing, a clear plan, and also attractive football, that definitely helps. I don't think that instability has helped over the last couple of years with chopping and changing of managers, which is something that Tottenham tend to do. And it was a shame because under Pochettino, we all knew where we could go and what we were achieving. It just seemed that things went stale. We didn't get the investment at the right time, and that kind of happened. But I think we're in a new cycle now. Again, we've got young players. Brennan Johnson's come in. He's young. Udogie, Basuma, Mickey van der Ven. He's going to be an unbelievable Premier League player, I think, for years to come. Like that's one of the players for me that I'm like, that's a game changer for us. I think Tottenham still need more investment, but if you look also, as you mentioned, off the pitch, looking at the stadium, looking at the training ground, they have the right infrastructure to take the team to the next level. It shouldn't just be about getting in the top 4 and getting the money from Champions League. It should also be about winning trophies. And I do think that will come. I'm just not willing to put a time frame on that from a Spurs perspective. But I think the time is now for Tottenham to really try and capitalise on what's being built. They've got a manager that I personally believe in. I think that he's the type of guy that doesn't necessarily want you to go and blow the budget. He's happy to take players and work with them and mould them and put them into his system. And we're not a team that ever really goes and goes mad with funds anyway.
We spent a fair bit, don't we?
We spent a fair bit, but
60 on Johnson, was it?
47.
47.
Yeah, which was a lot of money, and hopefully we will recoup some of that. But obviously Harry Kane, who was the star and the standout player across probably the whole Premier League for a long period of time, is now gone. So that's also part of the cycle that Spurs have to learn and figure out a way to live without Harry Kane, which they have been doing, but obviously that does take time. And same with Son. Son has also been the standout person, and he's club captain now, but Son is also 32, so he's slowing down. His game has also changed. He's not that guy that can be on the wing and take players on as he used to and skin a guy, so we have to adapt with that. And then we're going to have to look at eventually phasing Son out and who's going to be the next one to come through.
I have made a decision. It's a hard decision, because
if I go 3-0 down
everything in my head says I should go for one team, and yet I know I've said previously that I don't think the gap between these two clubs is that big. I'm going to make a shocking decision here and go with Spurs.
I'm
going to do it. I'm going to do it because I want to make this game competitive.
That's
probably my strongest round.
Do you know what? It's because he didn't give me the fan one.
No.
He didn't give me round one.
My reasoning is that I think Arsenal in a way almost give the blueprint to Spurs, that you can go from being in a position where you look like you're not there very quickly into something. And the Spurs journey, which on the previous round went against you, goes for you in this sense that I think you're at the beginning of something and I don't know what the end of that is. Whereas I think Arsenal have been through that journey, and almost I think Spurs could replicate it. And I think going into the Champions League, I like the squad that Spurs have got. I like the bench that they've got. And I think there's going to be many years ahead of good North London derbies. I think this is the start of a...
Can we just confirm it, Mark, that you're saying Tottenham have a brighter future than Arsenal?
I am. 2-1. Okay, it's round 4 and we've got a player head-to-head. Each of our contestants will pick their best attacking player and make a case why they are the better attacking player. Abbi, who are you putting forward?
I'm going with Son, of course.
Okay, and Turkish?
I'm going to go with Saka.
I tell you what, I like both players. This is going to be really interesting. Abbi, it's your turn to go first and make the case for Son.
I mean, he's been doing it consistently for 9-10 years now in the Premier League. Most contributions, isn't it? With when he was with Harry Kane, breaking records kind of all the time. Them two. Obviously, Kane's not there anymore, but for me, Son has now stepped up in a different way. Obviously, now as captain, changed the way he plays. Not necessarily on the wing anymore, leading from down the line. Arguably should have won more, but I think that comes down to just Tottenham in general, especially when we had that team 2017 time. When you think back, it's criminal that team didn't win anything. But I think from Son, he's done it year in, year out. We know the quality he has, we know what he can do. And for me, even though he is a little bit older now, I still think that he is, or should be considered as a player that is one of the best probably in the Premier League. Maybe in that world-class bracket.
Maybe. I think at times I would have agreed. He's on the downhill now, but even in Kane's absence, he slotted in up front, and I give him credit for that. He's 32 years of age. He's on the downhill. Okay. He's on the downhill. But I'm here to talk about Saka. Listen, Saka for me, he can't have the consistency that Son's had because he's still so young. So I can't.
How old is Saka?
23.
23?
Yeah, don't quote me on that, but it's around that, 23. Now listen,
he's definitely not 32.
Yeah, he's got 10 years on him. And every single obstacle Saka's had to face in front of him, he's knocked them down. He comes into Arsenal, gets played at left back because of an injury crisis. He performs at left back, he goes to left wing, performs there, he performs in the 10, and then he finds his feet on the right wing. Since finding his feet on the right wing, he's just kicked on 3 seasons in a row now, above 10 goals in the league. You know, this season, at this point of recording, he's on course for a potential 18 to 20 goal season. England, the Euros come about, Jadon Sancho, Phil Foden, the hype men. Who comes in and secures his slot?
Are you saying he's better than Phil Foden?
For England, he is the one that's been, well, not preferred because Foden don't play the same, but in that Euros, Foden was the hype man. He dyed his hair, Gascoigne part 2. It didn't work for him. Saka came in and out of that tournament as one of the young, hungry England Lions moving forward. World Cup, same thing. He plays for England, starts for England.
Is he world class?
I'd say he's on the cusp of it, yeah. Every obstacle, whether it's club football, whether it's European football, whether it's international football, he's been knocking them out of the park one by one. So I don't see why he wouldn't knock any other obstacles any other fans have.
Obviously,
to put in front of him.
Son's got 10 years kind of pretty much on Saka. So just a question for you. If you had to pick, I guess Saka's maybe coming into his prime now, you'd say. Mm-hmm. Prime Son, again, Golden Boot winner, or Saka? I'm
going to say, you've agreed we haven't seen Saka's prime, but judging off what I know, prime Saka. Even though you mentioned Golden Boot, I think Son won the Golden Boot on
Son winning a Golden Boot is wild.
22 goals, but we're talking about a 23-year-old Bukayo Saka that has.
But will he ever win a Golden Boot, Saka?
He has the potential. He's close to scoring 18 to 20 this year. If he hasn't even hit his prime yet, why can't he score 22? Why can't he score 25?
Would you say he's like your most clutch player for Arsenal?
Clutch. Difficult to say because we're a team. We're not a one-man team. We don't focus on one player.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that Tottenham. Well, now Kane's gone, definitely not a one-man team. But you know, it's spread across the board, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean,
but he's the one you look to. He's your star boy.
He is our star boy, but we haven't had many clutch moments at Arsenal over the years. We've just been challenging for league titles over the last 18 months. So the one clutch moment he potentially had at the end of last season, all right, he didn't perform as we would have hoped. But again, young players are molded by the negatives. And last season, the end was a negative. So the pain we received off the back of that, hopefully is joy 12 months on.
You know what? You could talk, and I still don't think I'd come to a conclusion on this one. I'm not allowed to give it as a draw, but I like both players, and I'm going to go Saka. And I think that's controversial, but I'm going to go Saka because ever since the Euros, I just think he's been ridiculously consistent after that penalty miss.
Son has done it for literally 9-10 years in the Premier League. This is wild.
I listen, and I'm sure everyone at home will have their say as well. Okay, it's the final round and it's time for our super fans to select their club's all-time five-a-side team. Once they've done that, I will create a combined five-a-side team, and obviously the one with the most players in it will win the round. We'll start off with you, Abby. It's probably the tougher task. What would your all-time five-a-side Spurs team be?
It was actually really tough because it's if I wanted to do it in my lifetime and players I've watched, or if I want to think about the whole history of the club. So I ended up doing it on players I've watched.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a little bit of a hint. There is a player that you can put in there that I will not be able to refuse. Didn't play in the Premier League.
How far back we go?
Went to a World Cup in Italia 90.
Oh, Gaza?
Yeah.
Well,
is he in?
He wasn't in my ones I've watched because I was born in 94. I was born in 94. But I was doing this for quite some time because if I was going with the ones that I haven't watched, obviously you'd put Pat Jennings in there. I'd obviously have Ginola, Hoddle, Gaza. There's so many. Greaves, Klinsmann, Ardiles, like the list could go
Waddle.
on and on and on. Waddle, Perryman, like
Lineker.
The list could go on, yeah. It could go on. But obviously I chose to go with the ones that I've watched in my lifetime. So I have to go with, I guess, Hugo Lloris, because who's been the most consistent and long-serving. I decided to not go with a defender because I desperately wanted to fit in my midfield. So I went with Moussa Dembele, who for me is my favourite Spurs player I've ever seen. Could never get the ball off him. Criminally underrated. Absolute GOAT for me. So he's in there. Luka Modric, obviously unbelievable player, Ballon d'Or winner. Hopefully wasn't at Tottenham, but still like one of the greatest players I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt. And then of course we've gone with Gareth Bale as well. Just ridiculously good player.
Five-a-side though, you can't kick and run.
I'm not doing formations in my... Yeah.
Play 1-2.
I nearly played rush goalie. So I went with Gareth Bale. And then up top I had to go with Harry Kane because for me, best finisher in Europe, one of the best strikers of all time. So that was my one based on who I've seen. But I drove myself mad over it.
I tell you, it's a good team, Turkish. That is a good team. The problem is, if you're up against a club that's got 20 years of success, well, not recent success, but you know what I mean. But that's a very good team. I think that's a really good effort, even without Gaza in it.
Good effort. But yeah, it's another difficult one for you, I can't lie. Because as soon as I say Henry...
It's a long day, isn't it?
Henry's in there for sure. I want to say Bergkamp too. Put Bergkamp in there. In a five-a-side game, he can drop in and be a bit of a midfielder. His pitch is tight. So I'll put Bergkamp in there. See, here I'm tempted to go with Vieira. But because you went with Dembele, and it is five-a-side...
He's a good five-a-side player, I think, Dembele.
I'm going to go with Cazorla. Because I think Cazorla footwork, he blows Dembele out of the park. And I like Dembele, but Cazorla on the ball was something different in tight spaces, both-footed, one of the cleanest both-footed players we've ever seen, let alone Premier League era. So, Henry, Bergkamp, Cazorla.
It's looking good.
I'm gonna put Lehmann in goal. Tempted
Not
to say
Seaman.
Lehmann invincible.
Okay.
So for your first season to be unbeaten.
I definitely thought you were going Seaman.
I was going to. But I've just made a last-minute decision to say Lehmann because I like his character as well. He's got a bit of bite, he's got a bit of fight, and if he needs to put it on the Tottenham five-a-side team, he's up for it. So Lehmann, and I've saved one spot. So I've got Henry, Bergkamp, Cazorla, Lehmann. I'm going to put Sol Campbell in there.
I knew you were going to do that. I'm going
to put Sol Campbell in there. You didn't put a defender in, so I'll put one.
Mark,
and
we're
I
not
think
having him in that.
if we're going to combine it, if Mark's going to combine it, Sol's played for both clubs, so...
I'm not having Sol in it. Absolutely not. I will literally leave.
The definitive. I will have to go with Lehmann over Lloris. I think that's an easy one. I'm definitely going to stick with Bergkamp and Henry, which leaves the other two positions would have to be...
This is so biased. I can't cope.
I am going to put Dembele in there over Cazorla. I think Cazorla's a better player, but we're talking about a five-a-side team, and he always played so well against Spurs. And meaning the final spot for me, what was the other player you had in there?
This joke.
Campbell. I can't put him in there. I can't put him in there. I just can't do it. So Modric.
All right, no defenders, fine.
I still think it'd be a very good five-a-side team.
It's all good.
Who needs defenders?
Still on 3-2, doesn't matter. Big up Sol.
Yeah, it's still around for Turkish and Arsenal, so that makes it 4-1 overall. But I think Abbi put up a good fight for Spurs, and who knows what the future might hold. So there we go then. For me, there is only one winner. It was quite unanimous. It's Turkish with Arsenal. But it's not just about what I think. What do you think? Get in the comments. We'll certainly be reading those. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well for more great content.
If we're talking 19 to 23 years of age, if you compare Son's 19 to 23 to Saka's 19 to 23, Saka blows him out of the water. And I should have said that in the thing, and that would have probably wrapped it.
If you would have put Sol Campbell in that, I'd been gone.
You should have done it so she could walk off the set.
I'd have literally gone.